All right, so I'm not very good at doing these like commentary style videos. Um, I'm kind of feels weird just talking to a camera in a room by myself, but I wanted to do this to try or to basically like um, record this for future me to watch back, however many years from now or whatever, I guess, to see kind of how my thoughts have changed and about Starfield as time goes on. Um, I'm a huge Bethesda fan. I love all their games and played pretty much all of them. And so I'm really excited for Starfield coming up. I have it pre-ordered, and even though you're not supposed to pre-order games, I'm really excited for it and ready for it to go. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on the game before it even comes out. Um, like I was saying, for future me, for future reference, I guess. And I have my stuff written on my phone because I want to keep my thoughts tracked. So, um, yeah, like I was saying, I'm a big fan of the game, or a big fan of Bethesda, and so I thought this would be cool to do. So here we go. Let's see. So one thing I noticed about watching the Starfield Direct, which at this point I've watched it probably 10 times, all the way through. And only one of those times was me actually watching it myself. The other nine or however many times was watching other people react to it. I just thought it was fun to watch people, their reactions to it, and whatever they thought was cool sounding and they were interested about being in the game. I thought that was really interesting. So I've watched it probably 10 times though. And one thing I kind of realized on my own, but I also heard a lot of other people say it several times actually, is that it looks like multiple games put into one game. Um, like the whole shipbuilding aspect and flying and, uh, battles in the stars and killing other ships and boarding other ships and stealing their ships, things like that. The whole like that aspect of the game could be its entire own game, I think, on its own. I think that's really, from what we can tell, at least so far, again, like the game hasn't come out, but from what I can tell now, it looks really comprehensive, and I'm pretty excited for that. Um, Another one would be like just the RPG, aspect of it and the storytelling and the exploration. That could be its own game too. Like a lot of games are, the whole build your character and play your character in the world and do the storylines and things like that. That's obviously could be its own game too. And also they do the whole settlement building, um, and which is actually something I'm not that interested in, building settlements and like resource collection and whatnot. I mean, I'll do it for my first playthrough, but it's not something that's really that interesting to me. Like they had settlement building in Fallout 4, and I really didn't build any settlements other than like maybe cleaning up, a base and putting some storage there so I can store my crap. The only real time I ever did like settlement stuff in Fallout 4 was my very first playthrough. I checked everything out and built pretty much. I think like everywhere you could build a base, I built some kind of base and had settlers, and you connect them with trading lines or whatever they're called. But after that first playthrough of Fallout 4, I didn't really touch that kind of stuff. So I'm not that interested in like the outposts and whatever that mining gun thing that looks like No Man's Sky. Like I'll mess around with it, sure, and collect resources as I need them if they're needed for quests or if I'm gonna like mod, like the guns or something in the game. But I'm not that interested in that. But that in and of itself looked like it could also be its own game. The whole building your outpost and assigning people to it and resource collecting and all that, and that could be its own game. So that's something that I just noticed, that it looks like multiple games, smashed into one game. I think that's really cool that it's such a big game that it's so many systems and mechanics put into one that it you could literally peel it apart and make multiple games out of it. Um, from what we can tell so far, anyways, or what I can tell. One thing that I wanted to hit on was the graphics of the game. I've seen a lot of people kind of crapping on the graphics and saying, "Oh, the graphics aren't very good," which I understand what they're saying for for it being 2023, like the graphics aren't very good looking in Starfield from what we've seen so far. Oh my goodness, I feel a sneeze coming. Oh gosh, false alarm! Don't you hate that? Anyways, the graphics. Like when they were building characters, the beards on the faces of the characters that they were building, it didn't look very good. It looked like uh, I don't know. It just looked like lines kind of drawn on. It didn't really look like hair, you know. And some other stuff, the faces and eyeballs and stuff like that on the characters don't really look that good. And I think they should be better than what they are. But for me, I'm not that concerned about graphics. Like I've never really been much of a graphics person, especially on a Bethesda game. That's not what I'm playing a Bethesda game for. If I want to play a game for graphics, I would play, like one of the new, like Star Wars Battlefront or something. I always thought the graphics on that was pretty cool. But no, I'm not really a graphics person. There was several good points that I wanted to hit on that I saw like in the direct and some other stuff. They just did Gamescom like yesterday or 2 days ago, and I saw some cool things in that as well. The aesthetics of the game just looks so good. The whole like NASA punk thing that they got going on, that they termed NASA punk. I thought that it looks really good. Like I think the guy's quote from the direct was like lo-fi rather than sci-fi, and how everything's kind of analog. Yeah, I think that's going to work really well. And they're like walking through the ships. It looks like the Millennium Falcon, some of the doorways and stuff. I really, really dig the aesthetics of this game. I think it's going to be, even the graphics, like I was saying, weren't the best. I think the aesthetics is going to make up for that a lot. And just the design of places. And some of the stuff you're seeing, like in the videos of New Atlantis and stuff, the buildings and the skyscrapers and stuff. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. I'm pretty excited for it. I can't wait. Just to like walk around the cities and to build some of the ships and see how the inside of the ships look. The items looked pretty cool as well. Like the food they were showing, it looked a lot better than what I would expect food to look like in a game. They really went hard on the food, it looks like, but also other things, the guns and the spacesuits and things. Just the little details that they put into it, I think, are really, really. Well, I was going to say the details look detailed, but the details are intricate and deep. I think I'm a fan, definitely a fan. When I was watching the direct, especially the first time, but I also noticed this watching other people react to the direct. There's a lot of I would, I guess, consider them little details that kept popping up, but they were like, wow, they put that in the game. Like when you can board other ships in space to kill the people inside if you wanted to take their ship and whatnot, instead of just blowing the ship up and collecting the scrap. You can literally board the ships. That was if I was making a game, I would never have thought of adding that in. Just it was I think would be fair calling it a little detail, but it's still like it kind of hit you like, wow, holy crap, that's really deep. Another thing like that was when you're in 0G floating around and you shoot a ballistics gun that shoots like bullets instead of lasers, that actually pushes you back in gravity. That's another thing I was like, man, that's such a little detail, but it's so detailed, and the fact that there's so many of those little things like that. I never would have thought of adding something like that in. I would have been so concerned about story or whatever. Would never have thought of like, oh, make sure the gun pushes you back if you're in 0G. It makes sense though. It's really cool. Something that I'm gonna make two more videos about Starfield. These kind of commentary style videos, but two more. One is going to be about like predictions for the game, what I think is going to be in the game or not in the game. Another one for like my plans for my first character, and I'm going to record my first character, my first playthrough, I should say, and put it on the YouTube channel as well. Again, for like future reference, because I thinking back now, if I could look back and watch my first playthrough of like Skyrim, 12 years ago, 12 years ago. I would be very interested in seeing like my impressions and reactions to Skyrim for the first time, or Fallout 3 or whatever. So I'm going to make sure I record my first playthrough and put it on YouTube. because I think that'd be really interesting just from like my future reference. Not even really, if people want to watch it, that's great. Come watch it, I guess. But it's more so just for myself. Kind of all that I'll really put up on YouTube channel is just for myself, because I'm, I guess, self-centered like that. I don't know. uh, but for me, for what I've seen so far in Starfield, it's like so many different aspects they went really deep on, like I was saying. But for me, some of the more things I'm more interested in is like the storyline, the factions, the characters themselves, um, and not so much like exploring different planets. And I'm going to get into that as well, how I feel about procedural generation and the different planets and whatnot. But I'm more interested in like the main areas of the game, going to New Atlantis and the other cities and meeting the characters and talking to the characters and boarding like other like the battleship or whatever they were showing, or the cruise ships, and talking to people. I think that is going to be really my favorite part of the game, if I had to guess. We'll see. Maybe we'll play this game and I'm just so into like the desolate planets and the landscape and stuff. Although I think that stuff's gonna be cool, I don't think that's gonna be my main, my main thing with the game. Main thing I enjoy. Um, I'm more interested in like the other humans and stories and whatnot. But speaking of the procedural generation stuff, I think it's good in that the technology is improving, and procedural generation can definitely be done right. I'm just hoping that it doesn't. It feels like after the first playthrough, the procedural generation of the locations that it adds in is going to be stale. Um, maybe by the second playthrough even. You go to a planet that oh, there's no like main city here or nothing. You just land, and the different areas that are put on the map, like points of interest, like an abandoned mining camp or whatever, or a crash ship, maybe, I don't know. All that stuff is randomly put there, and so it may not be there your first playthrough. It may be there your second playthrough. That's what they were talking about with people playing this game and having different like stories to tell, is that it's always different on the planets where it's not like set in stone. Obviously, like the New Atlantis city or the other cities aren't going to be procedurally generated. Those are handcrafted. I'm not talking about the handcrafted content. I'm talking about procedural generation. I think it's going to be cool the first time that you get there, but I wonder just how many different points of interest that can be generated. Because with the amount of time that people are going to put in this game, amount of time I'm going to put in this game, I'm probably going to see them all the different things that can be generated. And so maybe even like towards the end of my first playthrough or second playthrough, you go to a planet that maybe I haven't been to yet, but it loads up an abandoned mining camp that I've already been to before. That's kind of something I'm a little worried about. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe there's just so much that it can generate different types of locations and whatnot. But I don't know. That's just something that we're gonna have to wait and see. So that's something I'm a little concerned about, is the procedural generation getting stale. Although for the first playthrough, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be really fun exploring the different areas and things that pop up, and I think it's going to be really cool. On that note, when you land on one of these planets that are, doesn't have life on it necessarily, it's just like a whole planet's procedurally generated, and the points of interest are procedurally generated as well. I wonder, if you can land on that planet somewhere and walk all the way around it, walk from one point, just go completely around the planet till you get back to your ship. Or if it's like, you just start a direction, it just keeps on going forever until you can fast travel back to your ship. I hope you can walk around the planet, even if it takes like theoretically 1,000 hours to walk around the planet, because it is a planet, but I hope it's not just forever, because I feel like that would be a red flag probably for the points of interest getting stale, if it's technically just forever goes on and on and on one of those planets that's not handcrafted, that is. So those are just a couple things I'm kind of concerned about. There was one thing I meant to say earlier about the like settlement building or outposts, I think they're what they're calling them. Like, I'm not that interested. I'll do them for the first time to check it out, the system and the mechanics of how it works. But I think more so, um, I'm more interested in like living on the ship that I end up building, or the ships that I end up building. I think it'd be cool to like add beds and live on the ship and try kind of how all your stuff with you. One thing that's going to kind of depend on though is if I have multiple ships, and I might talk about this a little bit in the predictions, the video I make about my predictions for Starfield. But I wonder if, like, if you have multiple ships, you can, like, in your, shipping, I don't know, whatever it's called. I can't remember what they call it, but like in the city, wherever you land your ship, and there's a technician there, you can buy ships and modify your ships. Um, if you have stuff stored on one ship, does it transfer to other ships? Is there like some kind of shared storage system, or maybe, like in Minecraft, they have the like ender chest, I think is what it's called, where you put stuff in one and it's also in another one. I wonder if there's some kind of shared um, item storage system between your ships, or if all your stuff you put on one ship, if you go to get into some other ship that you have, if like none of your stuff is on that ship. If that's the case, then yeah, I can see myself building, one central kind of outpost to store all of my stuff and grab it whenever as I need it. But if it's shared between your ships somehow, which I imagine probably will be the case, but we'll see. Um, if it is shared between ships, I can see myself just completely foregoing the settlement building system, the outposts and whatnot. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that is something that they put in the game or not. Either way, I'd be okay with it. It wouldn't be like I'll be super upset if it wasn't a shared system between, or shared like chest system between your ships or whatever. Um, so we'll see. For thoughts on the game, that was pretty much it. I'm really excited for the game. I can't wait for it to come out. I've been trying to like keep myself busy with other games. Been like playing through Oblivion again and whatnot, uh, just to try and hold me over until well, we have like 3 weeks or something until the game comes out. I'm just kind of waiting for it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it as of right now. I might do like an update on what my thoughts are, maybe like in the middle of my playthrough, or definitely one probably when I finish my first playthrough, so I can maybe like compare between now and then. So we'll see. See how that goes. See if I end up doing that at all. We'll see. If you watch this, thanks. This wasn't really meant for other people to watch. This is more just, like I was saying, for myself in the future to watch. But if you did watch it, thanks. I appreciate you. That's pretty much it. All right. Bye-bye.